Welcome to Zombieland. Life is about more than just survival. We were a family. Dysfunctional, sure, but what family isn't?
Merry Christmas! What would you like, little girl?
I'd really like for you to stop calling me little girl.
Do you know what I would like?
I don't give a shit what you like.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast / channel / podcast, whatever you want to take it. Back over here to Broke Boy Media. Today, we're going to be reviewing Zombieland Double Tap. My name is Christian, and Devin is here with me as always. How are you doing today, buddy?
Hello.
Happy Saturday, you know?
Yeah, no, you had a late night last night, but you still got up and ready to go.
Yeah, I had a very late last night. It takes you like 3:30 in the morning. You're like, bro. I'm like, I didn't even realize what time it was. Holy crap, it was insane. But yeah, before we get started today, everyone, you can listen to this podcast version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Anchor, as well as you can watch the YouTube version of this video is actually, or this review, I should say, is actually going to be pushed out a little bit longer. I forgot to tell you, Devin, my MacBook is in the shop. So, yeah, I tried updating to Mac OS Catalina. Everything ran pretty fine, but minus the one thing, the one application that I used to download things through epk.tv was not working right. And it was a 64-bit application, which means it should have been working fine, but I tried downgrading it and something got messed up, so I had to send it out to the Apple Store. They really helped me out, though. My appointment was at like 7:30, and I left at 9:30, 9:45, and they closed at like 9 o'clock. This lady was like super helpful about the whole thing. It was insane. But anyway, let's just get right into the review. Enough chatter for what, 3 minutes? So as I said, we are reviewing Zombieland Double Tap. I'll just read the synopsis really quick. Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock moved to the American heartland as they face off against evolved zombies, fellow survivors, and growing pains of the snarky makeshift family. Directed by Ruben Fleischer and stars Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, and what was Little Rock's name? Abigail Breslin.
And Zoe Deutsch.
Yeah,
and
Zoe Deutsch. There was some good
Dawson,
ones in here.
Luke Wilson.
Yeah, it was insane. Victoria Hall. I was like, what? But yeah, so what? Let's just get off with what was your initial thoughts about this? I guess like the trailer before the movie came out.
I was always excited. I feel like the first Zombieland is pretty much loved by like everyone. It feels like just kind of like one of those movies that everyone appreciated when it first came out. So I was definitely excited for this one.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I pretty much felt the same way. It's been a while since I've seen the first Zombieland, and I was like, okay, let me go back and rewatch it. And for whatever reason, I didn't enjoy it as much. I mean, I still liked it because I'm a really big Emma Stone stan. I'm not a big Woody Harrelson fan, I'm not going to lie, but I do love Jesse Eisenberg, and those are like the main two reasons why I watched Zombieland again. It's for Emma Stone and Jesse Eisenberg. But yeah, I mean, I was excited for it. I was like, yeah, I liked it enough to want to obviously go see the second one. And I got to say, man, I actually liked the second one more than the first one. I think the pacing was a lot better, and the jokes were overall a lot funnier in this one. It had me laughing a lot, way more than the first one did. But the first one came out like, what, 10 years ago? In 2009, so I mean, a lot of like the old 2009 jokes. It was probably because of the old 2009 jokes when he's like, "Oh, it's time to nut up or shut up." And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's funny." And then like I was kind of like, "Oh, he's still using that line," but then again, this is the second movie, so what do I expect? You know what I mean?
Time to nut up or shut up.
We need a new line.
Let's kick some dicks.
Just because it rhymes doesn't make it a great catchphrase.
It's her problem. I don't know. I like it when it rhymes.
Yeah, I was definitely happy that they got everyone to come back. That's pretty rare.
Literally, yeah, very
10 years
rare.
later. That just shows how much they appreciated the project.
Same thing with Incredibles. pretty much had literally the same cast come back, like everybody. So I thought that was actually, I think the person who played Dash is a little bit different. I think it's a different voice actor from the second one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But other than that, yeah, I thought this movie had a lot of heart. You know, I was laughing throughout the entire movie. Honestly, I think Montana was not Montana, Madison. Yeah, I think Madison was definitely my favorite. And I'm like, okay, is she like a zombie or something, or like a mutated zombie? I'm like, it's kind of weird, but I really like the premise of the movie. You know, Wichita goes missing. She feels like she's the teenager of the group, obviously, and it's kind of like their own little family. But you know, you have Columbus. I mean, not Wichita. Little Rock goes missing. Wow, I'm so sorry. Little Rock goes missing. Wichita and Columbus are having their own little, spat, and then Tallahassee is just being Tallahassee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I enjoyed it all around. I'm trying to think. Well, let's start with you. What are the things you liked about it, and then get into the things you didn't like about it.
I guess we can just go over like what we thought were the funniest parts.
Yeah,
the
yeah, we can get those
best
out of the way.
gags. I love the intro where they were talking about the different types of zombies. The Homer one was hilarious to me. The Homer zombie.
Oh yeah, they're talking about the different kind of zombies, and they're like, oh, the simple ones are called Homers. I'm like, oh my god.
They just walk around like idiots and don't know what
catching butterflies, and
that one literally looked like Homer Simpson. It was perfect.
It really did. Like I thought it was hysterical.
It's just cool. It's just cool in general to have different types of zombies. Like usually movies only have like one type, and it's always pretty generic. But this one, mixed it up.
It kind of reminds me of in The Last of Us. I mean, even though they're not technically zombies, people, I don't know why people say that they are. It's the infected, but I mean they have zombie characteristics, but it's a virus that infects the brain and takes over the human body. So I'm like, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, I like his in The Last of Us, the video game. They have different type of infected creatures. Depending on how long that person's been infected for, they can go through all stages of the infected line. So like you start off as like a runner, and then the longer you become, like this weird clicker kind of thing makes this like weird clicking noise, and there's like this weird like sprouts kind of like coming out of your head, and they eventually evolve into a bloater, which are a lot harder to kill and things like that. It's also kind of like in Left 4 Dead, how they have different types of zombies in that game. Really wish they made a third. That Valve needs to get on that really quick. But anyway, I do agree.
It makes sense because obviously it's 10 years later, so they had to evolve and make some changes.
Yeah, and then like the new like they had the Hawkings, but then they even had like a more mutated version, which is way harder to kill. Which
T-800.
What did the Columbus?
The other guy called him.
He called them commandments. Well, yeah, bolts. He's like Usain Bolt because they're athletic.
I was actually just gonna bring that up. I think that was probably the funniest part to me. Made me laugh the most. Just when Flagstaff and Albuquerque showed up and they're just like identical. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that was.
I love Thomas Middleditch.
Yeah,
he looks just like Jesse Eisenberg.
Literally,
so
like if I close my eyes during that part when they're going back and forth, like Middleditch and Columbus, it's like the same. It's like he's talking to himself. I'm like, wow, they were so passive aggressive and just like trying to one up each other. It was great, dude. I absolutely.
And Columbus was like falling in love with them just because they had so much in common. He was just like smiling at him.
He was like, teamwork. Why wasn't teamwork my number one?
Yeah, that was probably my favorite gag of the whole movie.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I think Wichita being jealous of Madison was probably one of my favorite parts because it's like obviously the smart girl versus like the super dumb girl, but like when they first meet Madison, she like immediately tries to sleep with Columbus, and she's like, listen, it's either you or I do it with the old guy. And she's like, yeah, all right. He's like, I'm not gonna pass up this opportunity. He's like, wow, yeah. She was locked in that freezer for a very long time. But yeah,
he warmed her up pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much. And I like the what was it, Berkeley? Oh my god, I do like how Woody Harrelson was getting mad that Little Rock ran off with pretty much a poser / hippie, because I mean that's it was pretty much spot on. Not to play into stereotypes, but yeah.
I thought it was kind of weird that at the end she recognized he was a poser, but like while he's singing her these songs that already exist, she doesn't.
Yeah, like
it.
they didn't give you like any kind of hint that she already knew what was going on. It's kind of like, oh hey, by the way, I know, kind of thing.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. But I don't know, man. So what kind of any issues, negatives that you had about the movie overall?
I think there might have been maybe a little too much Madison. I thought it was funny at first when she showed up.
And then they brought her back. I was like,
yeah.
Okay. I was so surprised. I'm like, yo, what? But like, yeah, I see what you say, because it was perfect for that amount from the movie, and it's like, okay, she dies, even though she gets killed, quote unquote, killed off screen. But I had a feeling that it wasn't nut allergy. But like the way that she was vomiting up was the same as a zombie.
They made her look like a zombie.
Yeah, because it shows that she got kind of like, they pan in like on her foot being bitten by a zombie, but it didn't really, she didn't like say like, oh, like, hey, like my leg hurts kind of thing. And but when the clone Columbus and Tallahassee get bitten.
He doesn't even notice a giant bite on his arm.
Right. I was like, oh, he's like, you have a zombie tattoo? I'm like, who the hell gets a tattoo in the middle of a Zombieland apocalypse? Like, I thought it was so funny. But then when they finally made it to Babylon and they literally had no guns, I did think that was very interesting how they took down the zombies. Because it's like, oh, it could just be a huge like slaughter, like shoot fest like it was during the beginning of the movie. But no, they kind of wanted to take the gun elements out to see how they were going to face against the bolts, essentially. The T900s, was it?
T800s.
T800s. But yeah. Other than that, I thought a few of the lines were a bit cheesy, but I found it funny, like when Woody Harrelson said, oh, it's time to nut up or shut up, and someone's like, wow, that joke's not like, it's like so 2009 or whatever, and then it sounds like, huh.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny, kind of like making fun of his old sayings. But
I wasn't really a fan of the whole Babylon thing. I didn't think it was that funny. It's kind of like the hippie, like hipster jokes are kind of overused nowadays, and they made a whole town out of it. I wasn't a big fan of that, but it made a cool setup for how they were going to kill the zombies later without guns.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see how they were going to kill all of them. I do agree with you there. Do you think they'll make a third to run it off as a trilogy, or kind of just make it? I mean, like, there's no triple tap rule unless it's.
I was actually pretty surprised this got made, because all these actors are so busy.
Yeah, that is true. Especially 10 years later, it's like, hey, by the way, do you want to come back for this? But it's like, Emma Stone, she's come a very, very long way. Becoming an Academy Award winner, and Jesse Eisenberg's been doing Jesse Eisenberg things, and you have Woody Harrelson. He's supposed to be playing Carnage, and whatchamacallit, Venom 2.
And that first one was also directed by Ruben Fleischer.
Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, I do agree. And I mean, how old was my God, Little Rock at the time? Abigail Breslin. How old was she when the first movie came out? I don't even know.
Probably in her teens.
Probably. She looks so different though. From I don't know. That's right. She was in Little Miss Sunshine. I totally forgot about that.
Oscar nominated,
yeah. And definitely maybe. That's right. She wasn't definitely maybe. And Signs, as you mentioned earlier. But
the first two Zombielands and the first two Deadpools are written by the same two people.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of weird.
Wernick.
Yeah, because it's all Sony, so Sony owned. Because originally Zombieland was supposed to be a TV show, then Amazon Video ended up picking it up, and it didn't do too well. But so
you can definitely see like the Deadpool type writing.
Oh,
obviously, with
absolutely. It was very, very funny.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, if anything, like, yeah, I mean, the story was the story. Well, that's not really why you watch Zombieland. It's mainly for the jokes, excuse me, and for the interactions. But yeah, what would you give this score-wise out of 100?
79. Very weird number.
I would have to agree. I'll probably put it at like a 75 for me. I did really enjoy it. I did get the first one on digital through Vudu for like super cheap a while ago, and we were able to rewatch it that way. I know they were doing like a double feature kind of thing in the theaters. I'm like, yeah, that I think that they should, especially for movies, if it's like a double feature kind of thing, to kind of run into that in the theaters. Because I mean, who doesn't love going to see their movie again in the theaters? It's a better experience overall, I personally think. But especially with that Star Wars, man, that marathon that's coming up.
It's a lot of hours.
I'm ready. I mean, I have all of them on Blu-ray. Only episodes 7 and 8 are on digital. But I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to see it again. We'll see. Maybe, but
we also have to mention how badass Rosario Dawson was, Nevada.
Oh
the
yeah,
part where she
was
jumps
great
over the fence with the monster truck had me hyped.
Yeah, she was amazing.
You can kind of guess that she was going to save the day at the end, but it was still cool.
Yeah, like I mean, it was very predictable. Like even like the weed joke where, Little Rock's like, "Oh, do you have weed?" It's just something I've always wanted to try, and then Berkeley's like, "Do I look like a person who has weed?" Yeah, I do. I was like, okay.
Yeah, they showed that in the trailer too.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I kind of wish they didn't show the Jesse Eisenberg middle ditch thing in the previews.
Yeah,
that was definitely the funniest part to me. It would have been even funnier.
I agree.
Would have been a nice surprise
for sure. Yeah, it's insane, dude. But yeah, great movie all around. I highly encourage anyone to go see it.
If you like the first one, I can almost guarantee you're gonna like this one.
Oh, absolutely. If you're not looking for something that's like super childish, like The Addams Family, but not super scary, like I don't know, It Chapter 2 or any other horror films that are out right now. This is kind of like a nice little medium, to go see. Honestly, I wouldn't really say for the whole family, go see it with your pals, your buds, your homies. But yeah.
I also love the zombie kills of the year.
Yeah, and then the zombie kill of the
Leaning Tower of Pisa.
That was honestly so freaking amazing. I absolutely loved it.
And then our good old pal Tallahassee pulls off the kill of the century.
Yeah, I actually thought he was going to die at the end, but
it looked like he was going to.
He survived. So I was like, all right, whatever. I mean, like, no offense. Like, this is a Sony-made movie, and as we've known in the past, Sony-made movies are not necessarily all that great. They're kind of a hit or miss. This is definitely a hit. I agree with. I know they're coming out. Sony Pictures coming out with that Black and Blue movie. Does not interest me whatsoever. Like literally, I think, and they show the entire trailer right before I went to go see Double Tap. Literally, it's like a 6-minute trailer, and it's like they showed the entire movie. I was like, well, now I definitely don't want to go see it. So I don't know. You seen Jexy this weekend?
Oh boy,
you ready?
I don't know.
Not reviewing it, so
there's so many good actors, but it looks
just
so
enjoy
bad.
it. Well, all right, everybody. Thank you for your. Well, did you want to add anything before I wrap up here, Devin?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you always for coming on, Devin, and thank you for everyone listening at home. Again, you can listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and Anchor. The video version of this will be up later, as I mentioned earlier in the review. We're just going to pump out the podcast version here so that we can just get it out to everyone who would like to listen. And if you are listening to the YouTube version, I'm just going to throw this in there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and blah, 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 all that stuff if you like our content. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
I think the most important part of Zombieland, or the world of Zombieland, is the relationship between those four. I think it's really a story about making your own family. As you know, it sounds a little bit heavy for a zombie comedy, a zomcom, as I like to call it. But I think like a deeper message, even in something like Zombieland, is that even when horrible things have happened or it feels like the world's falling apart, you do kind of create your family and you do choose the people that you love and you want to stick with. And that's what these 4 people have done. Obviously, Little Rock and Wichita are sisters, but I think Columbus is really the kind of glue that holds the whole family together because he so desperately wants that.